Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Scores Studio. Welcome to the show. So, throughout the history of Commander, we started off with, well, giant 7/7s that cost a lot of mana, and you have to keep them around by paying an upkeep cost or they're gone. And yeah, varying power levels of the actual Elder Dragons. All the way to these days where it's like, oh, I played my Commander. I win because I played my Commander. That's okay, overselling it a little bit, but still, the power level of Commanders has skyrocketed, especially over the past couple of years. So much so that on today's episode, I'm going to be going through 20 Commanders, actually 21. There's a little extra addition for you right here that I believe are super overpowered. Let's jump into it. And we're just going to be doing this alphabetically, so these are not in any particular order, except for the last one, which again is just kind of like a little addition for you as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Regardless, Anar, Soul of Elements. Yeah, if you haven't played against an Animar deck, oh my gosh. Alec, I believe, actually took apart the Animar deck, but when I played against it, oh my goodness. You're in trouble. A 1/1 elemental for 3 mana. Okay, it's terrible, right? No. In Teamer, protection from white and from black. So that's already great right there, being able to get protection from 2 pretty heavily removal, spell colors. I said that correctly. Anyways, no, I didn't. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a counter on this, and creature spells you cast cost 1 less cast for each counter on Animar. Here's the thing. Cost reduction is insane. Insane amounts of value from cost reduction. Yeah. Ramp is nice, right? And getting a lot of ramp is great. That being said, if you can reduce cost, you can do some crazy things all on one turn, including some very broken things and some easily broken things with this one. I mean, like this plus Ancestral Statue equals basically I win the game. Just super easy to get to because you just need 4 counters on this. That being said, even if you aren't comboing with this, you can take all your creatures in your deck and essentially to say whatever their generic cost is does not matter. The only thing that matters is the pips that they have, that colored mana. And if you have creatures that don't have that, then it's even crazier. So yeah, this is a Commander that can get out of control in absolutely no time. It is hard to deal with. It can actually just win you the game on its own, being potentially like, no, I wouldn't say Voltron. You're not going to build this Voltron most of the time, but like, that's just like a side potential victory for you, because you can easily turn this into a 2-shot or even a 1-shot KO against your opponents. And if you're playing against a player who's playing an Orzhov, good luck to them ever dealing with it and also getting taken out by it. So yeah, this is a Commander that can get out of control in absolutely no time. Cost reduction is crazy. Animar, Soul of Elements, you are definitely an overpowered Commander. Next up, though, we've got Aragorn, the Uniter. Yeah, this is a newer Commander, but it's still making the list. Oh my goodness, they pushed this thing. Aragorn the Uniter, a 5/5 Human Noble for just 4 mana. I mean, back in the day, right? Again, it's like, okay, 5/5 for 4. What's the downside? And you're like, oh, there is none. I mean, I guess like it's cost, right? It's you have to pay 4 different colors to actually get it out, but there's plenty of ways to fix your mana by the time that comes around on turn 3 or 4, right? And also kind of with that, yeah, you get access to every color but black. Anyways, whenever you cast a white spell, make a 1/1 Human Soldier. Cast a blue spell, Scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, Lightning Bolt to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, +4/+4 until end of turn. This is just literally, hey, you know those things you're already going to be doing, like, casting spells? You get extra stuff for that. Great, good for you. And the more colors your spells are, the better they get. We're just stapling on to every single one of your cards extra effects. Absolutely crazy value. You can take this deck in a lot of different directions. Essentially, you can focus on like a couple of colors, or you can just focus on like, hey, I'm just playing a bunch of 3-color spells. The more focused, obviously, the more powerful you're going to get, but still, yeah, the amount of extra crazy value you can get is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. You can lean heavily into, well, okay, extra tokens, all right? If I've got things like Doubling Season or whatnot, okay, I get extra tokens every single time I do that. If you focus on that scry, you can do whatever that one Sphinx is that's not coming to my mind right now that like turns your scrying into draw instead. You can do that. Elegith, maybe? Red, you can actually, double up or triple up damage. So you're like, oh, okay, every single time I cast a red spell or something that has red in it, I'm dealing 6 or maybe 9 damage to an opponent's face instead. Maybe I give this lifelink so I gain life with that. And maybe I give it infect so it actually takes out opponents quicker. And then with the green, you're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I pump creatures and just hit hard. I can turn my commander into already a Well, 3-shot KO, getting it to 9 power quite easily with just 1 green spell, 2-shot KO with 2 instead, or yes, even a 1-shot KO if the time is right. Actually, I mean just like green spell times 2 plus like, you know, like a Boros Charm double strike. Yeah, you win. You win. Absolute crazy value with this commander. Moving on, though, yeah, they really wanted to push things, and you might see another one here in a little bit. Just a little spoiler right there. But when Wilds of Eldraine and they had the Brawl precons, and they're like, Brawl's gonna be a thing on paper. Not so much, but some of the commanders that they pushed in there, they really pushed super hard, including Chulane. Teller of Tales, a 2/4 Human Druid with Vigilance that costs 5 mana in Bant. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you put a land card from your hand on the battlefield, pay 3 and tap, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Okay, so, 2 things that are very powerful in Commander. Ramp and card draw. This does both, and it does it super well, because here's the thing. Casting creature spells is very easy. You can build this deck in a lot of different ways. You can just go like all like low to the ground creatures, and if you just chucked a bunch of 1-mana creatures in the deck, it'd still probably be pretty good. That being said, there are certain creatures out there, and of course there are tutors for those creatures in green, to go get, say, oh, I don't know, Shrieking Drake. You just like, oh, okay, yeah, 1 mana, play a creature that can bounce itself back to my hand, and then I draw a card, get a land into play, do it again and again and again and again. You also have cost reducers that you can really play into that too. You can do some crazy things with this, but even again at a base level, just saying like, hey, if you cast a creature spell, draw and probably get a land into play. And again, just land into play does not say into play tap. You can use that land again right away. Absolutely absurd. And yeah, sure, if you get stuck at some point, bounce a creature you control back to your hand and do it again. This is crazy. This is insane. I mean, throw Panharmonicon in there. Do even more crazy things. This commander is pushed. Next up, Hinata Dawn Crowned. Yeah, we talked about cost reduction with Anar. Here we go. A 4/4 Kieran Spirit with Flample, because it needed Flample for some reason, for 4 mana in Jeskai. Spells you cast cost 1 less for each target. Okay. Spells your opponent's cost 1 more to cast for each target. So, first of all, it didn't really need that last part on it. This is kind of like a Phyrexian Praetor type thing where it's like, benefit for me, opposite negative thing for you all. It's not a Phyrexian Praetor to my knowledge. Maybe it's a secret Phyrexian Praetor. We'll see. Doubt it. But yes, it is. Hey, all the things that you try to do when you're targeting my things cost more now. So even just like a simple removal spell is going to cost more now. If you're trying to cast your Swords to Plowshares, now it's half as effective. Half as efficient, I should say. It's going to cost you 2 instead of 1. That is a deterrent from your opponents casting things targeting your things. If they're trying to cast an Aether Gale, all of a sudden, which is 5 mana, bounce 6 things, if they're targeting your things, they're not going to cast it targeting your things now because it costs 11 versus for you, that exact same spell costs just 2 mana, and that's just because of the generic mana value in it. This essentially says, hey, do you have an X spell that can target whatever you want? Now it targets everything. It targets everything. Whatever Heliod's, whatever the one is that just destroys artifacts and enchantments. That one is going to instead be just, hey, pay 2 mana, get rid of every single artifact and enchantment that you don't like. And that's basically how all the removal spells are going to be for you. It's basically, hey, what don't you like on the board? They're all gone. Hey, all your removal just costs 1 now, essentially, or maybe even 2 mana if it's the non-generic. But basically, all your things are cheaper. There's some crazy broken things that you can do with this. It's impossible for your opponents to target your things. It's really easy for you to target all their things. There's some crazy counter spells that you can keep getting back again and again and again. This is a commander that is super pushed, super broken, and yeah, just a problem when you are playing against it. Now, next up, this one I went back and forth with putting it on the list, I will admit, but that being said, I have seen this one just decimate people. Jetmir Nexus of Rebels, a 5/4 cat demon for 4 mana in Naya. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have Vigilance, allowing you to control 3 or more creatures. The same is true when you have 6 or more creatures, but you get an additional +1/+1 and +1/+0 and have Trample. And then once you get to 9 creatures, +1/+0 and Double Strike on top of that. So at the end of the day, if you have 9 creatures in play, including this one, so just basically 8 other creatures, it's +3/+0, Vigilance, Trample, and Double Strike. So, all you need to do with this commander is get to that many creatures in play, and then play this commander. You don't need it in play until you're like, oh, I'm ready to win the game. Okay, I'll put it in play. I win the game. I mean, yeah, you got to swing and get through, but let's just even say you've got, okay, 8 1/1s in play, right? You made 8 1/1 soldiers or whatever it is, okay? Goblins, does not matter. 8 1/1s in play. Typically, they're hitting for what? 8 damage in total. With this commander in play, now that is going to be 8 damage per creature. My goodness. Because again, they're +3/+0, so they're at 4/1. Double strike, vigilant, trample. So they can get damage, so they can also stay back for blocking as well. So that's what, 64 damage between all them? Plus, I guess this commander would also be in play and hitting for, I mean, 8 times 2, 16. So what, 80 damage total? So that's like take out 2 players just by meeting that very easy to meet requirement. And you could say, yeah, it takes a while to get there. Not really. There's so many ways to get to 8 or more creatures in play outside of your commander. There's so many ways to just do it, like instant speed before your turn. You've got access to a lot of great things in these colors. You also have access to other ways to pump them, some fantastic anthems too, to make them hit even harder. Yeah, this is a commander that I went back and forth because, yeah, combat isn't always, you know, the most effective way to win a game. This commander, though, says, hey, let's be aggressive, and we can win very, very quickly, very, very effectively, and I've got so many avenues to victory just getting creatures out in this way, or that way, or this way, or that way, at instant speed right before my turn. Then I play my commander, and I just take you out. If you have no response, you have no instant speed response to stop me, you're going to lose the game. And if you try, I'm going to heroic intervention, save my team, and you are gone. This commander is absolutely bonkers, in my opinion, an overpowered commander. Jetmir, Nexus of Rebels. Moving on. This is one where, when they printed initially, it's like, they just kept writing on the card. They're just like, yeah, it just gets this, and then this, and yeah, and all these things. Here we go. Joda the Unifier, a 5/5 human wizard for 5 mana. 1 of each color in Wooburg. 5-color commander. I love 5-color commanders. Joda this one, though, I'm probably not going to play. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X for X the number of legendary creatures you control. If it just stopped there, it would already be a very, 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 very good commander. That being said, whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards to the top of your library to exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast the card without paying its mana cost, but the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. They gave it legendary cascade, essentially. This is, hey, grab a bunch of legends, chuck them in a deck, and you're going to have an effective deck around this. You literally can just go grab miscellaneous legendary creatures, legendary cards, whatever they are, chuck them in this deck, and it's going to work out fine. It's going to work out great because, again, this commander not only gives you absurd value, again, with that basic, free extra spell, that extra cascade, that legendary cascade, it also gives you the avenue to victory by being like, your legendary creatures are huge. The only thing they didn't do, which thank goodness they didn't do, because this also pumps itself. It doesn't say other legendary creatures you control. It also pumps itself, so it can easily become a 2-shot, if not a 1-shot KO. The other thing they didn't do is give this flying. So somehow Joda forgot how to fly. Because Joda knew how to fly with the first Joda, doesn't know how to fly now. Don't know what happened there. Maybe, again, it's like, oh, it's a legendary, it's a spell. It's a spell that had Joda flying, and Joda didn't cast the spell. Okay, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, this thing is push. This thing is absurd. Again, just grab legends, chuck them. That's going to work out. But yeah, if you actually have a thought-out deck around this, my goodness, the things that you can do. Joda the Unifier, you are overpowered. So, Wizards has made some mistakes in the past when it comes to certain mechanics, certain keywords, and, well, one of those is probably Storm, and they're like, yes, the Storm scale, we made a mistake on that one, but also, Phyrexian mana. Yeah, that's something that was most definitely a mistake, and a big one, and, they made a commander that basically says, hey, Phyrexia mana for everything, yes! A 2/2. Horror minion for 4 Phyrexian black, Phyrexian black, Phyrexian black. So basically 4 mana and 6 life, most of the times what you're going to be doing. Lifelink for each black in a cost. You may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. Yeah, basically, hey, all your black mana are now Phyrexian black. So congratulations on breaking things. Whenever you cast a black spell on top of that, you get a counter on Carrick, Son of Yawgmoth. This is one that I never know how to say the name. Is it Crick? Is it Carrick? I keep getting one or the other. Whatever it is, this thing is overpowered. Yeah, Baby Yawg is super good. There are certain just broken things that you can do with this. I mean, I'm talking about like infinitely activating something, not infinite technically because you've got like a life total that you have to like worry about, but not really. Not really at all, because you've got ways to then cast other spells for either reduced or free, and then just do something repeatedly, reduced or free, over and over and over again. I'm talking about infinite mana. I mean, infinite based on life total, but infinite mana, infinite card draw, a lot of crazy things that you can do with this, and again, so quickly that your opponent's heads are spin. And then when you're actually down low and you've got like no life left, and you're like, oh darn, whatever shall I do? Oh, I'll just swap life totals with that opponent. I'm back to 40. Let's do it some more. Yeah, this is a crazy, powerful, super quick commander that if someone Dark Rituals this out super early, you're in trouble. You're very much in trouble. The game is probably over. This thing is pushed. This is an overpowered commander. Next up, oh my goodness, I believe the lowest mana value out of all the commanders I'm talking about, but Kenan Prodigy. This thing is pushed. A 2/2 human druid for Simic colors. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. If you stopped right there, this would still be a pushed commander. This would still probably be an overpowered commander. That is absurd, being able to say, oh, hey, yeah, all your things, except for your lands. I'm limited, except for your lands. So, like, don't worry about your lands doubling up, but, like, anything else, again, not only that includes mana dorks, that includes artifacts, including, you know, mana rocks. Your Soul Ring now taps for 3. Wow. Okay, so yeah, being able to just get additional efficiency on that for a 2-mana commander is crazy. Again, you're just off to the races in absolutely no time. Also, combos with certain things, like, you know, hey, you know that one artifact that you can just tap it for 3, but you got to pay 3 to untap it? Well, now you go infinite with that, essentially. You go infinite with a lot of things with this as well. On top of that, oh, you need somewhere to put all that mana that you're making? Here you go. Pay 5, green and blue. Top 5 cards of your library, put a non-human. Okay, it's limited. There you go. It says non-human. If it was human, it'd be broken. No, creature from among them onto the battlefield with the rest of your library in a random order. Just cheat creatures into play off the top for, I mean, not free. I mean, if you're going infinite, then free. But hey, make all this mana super, super quickly. Dump it into this easy peasy usable thing that, you, of course, you can reduce to with, like, training grounds and those kind of things, too. And then just, yeah, dump your entire deck into play, probably. This thing is broken. This thing is busted. Combos with so many things. It is a crazy, pushed, overpowered commander, Kenan Prodigy. Now with Tulane, we talked about, hey, with the Wilds of Eldraine Brawl decks, they kind of probably push things a bit too far because they're like, we need to get players interested in this format. No one's interested in it. Okay, weird. And when I say no one's interested, I mean like outside of Arena. It still does see some Arena play, I believe, but yeah, I don't really see people in the LGS playing Brawl too much, if at all. In fact, I've never seen that. Anyways, Korvold Faker's King is a 4/4 Dragon Noble with flying for 5 mana in Jund. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1 counter on Korvold. Oh, and by the way, draw a card. This again is one where it's like they didn't need all the things, and they gave it all the things, and I can't tell you how many times it just becomes like, oh, okay, you're just getting all this value. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, what's happening? No, okay, you just drew how many cards in the turn? Oh, and by the way, now Korvold is how large? Korvold is how large? Okay, so I'm dead. Okay. Yep, okay. Yeah, Korvold did not need, number one, to be able to just be a sacrifice outlet itself. I mean, that's fine that it can do that, I guess. But it didn't need to have that. It didn't need to have sacrificing any kind of a permanent. Okay, it maybe non-token would hold it down, like non-token non-land would hold it down just a little bit. It didn't need to make it so that it gets counters on itself when it's doing this. It didn't need to have evasion when it's doing all this too. They threw the kitchen sink at this and they said, have everything! If you've never played against a Korvold deck, my goodness, the amount of value that it gets, especially since treasures are becoming more and more of a thing. This just says, hey, do you sacrifice a treasure? Cool. Korvold gets slightly larger, which does come into play because it's evasive and can definitely take players out. But also, more importantly, you're drawing a card. Every single time you sacrifice a treasure, you draw a card. Every single time you sacrifice an Evolving Wilds or Fetch Land, you're drawing a card. Every single time you harrow. Every single time you do this, do that. Draw a card. Absolutely broken. Absolutely push. And again, by the way, do you need a win condition with this? I mean, maybe you could have to build around that. Maybe you need like a Zulport Cutthroat or something like that so you can drain opponents when you're sacrificing creatures or whatnot. No. Don't worry about that. You have a flying giant dragon that can very easily turn into a one-shot KO. And even if your opponents stop you ever so slightly, oh my goodness, it doesn't matter. They just get it back out, and then they just get things going again. They're like, oh, okay, I guess, yeah, you stopped me. Okay, good for you. Okay, get Corvold back out, sacrifice all these things, draw so many more cards. I've got 14 cards in my hand now. I've got so much mana. Goodbye. This thing is pushed. This thing is overpowered. They were really trying to sell the Brawl decks, and Brawl never became a thing, but this definitely became a thing. It is overpowered. Moving on, yet another commander that they just kind of threw everything on top of, Marneus Calgar. A 3/5, I never know how to say this word, Astartes Warrior. Yeah, I'm not a Warhammer guy, sorry. For 5 mana in Esper, Double Strike. Didn't need Double Strike, don't know why it has Double Strike, but it has Double Strike. Master Tactician, whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under control, draw a card. I guess they limited it slightly, right? They limited it by saying 1 or more. They didn't limit it after that, though. Anyways, Chapter Master pays 6. Create 2/2/2. White Astartes Warriors create tokens with Vigilance. Okay. So here's the thing. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy that, again, it has all these things on it. And it's one of those commanders where, like, they put the combo on it, kind of. They're like, yeah, you make tokens. Cool. Okay, good for you. Oh, when you make tokens, you draw cards. Oh, okay, by the way, like, yeah, we've got ways where you can, like, sacrifice tokens for mana, you know? Maybe like Ashnod's Altar style. Oh, and we've also got ways in these colors to actually, double up your tokens. So, like, just double your tokens or double up the mana, whatever you need to do. And then all of a sudden, you've got not infinite tokens because you're limited based on your library, but oh darn. Yeah, you've got as many as you need to win the game. You can draw your deck as well. Even if you're not doing that, even if you're not comboing, which of course you're in black, you got ways to tutor for that kind of stuff. Even if you're not doing that, you have just a commander that says, hey, get repeatable token generating effects in play, of which there are plenty of incredibly effective, efficient ones, like Bitter Blossom, those kind of cards essentially. And all of a sudden, Southern Tide as well, all of a sudden, you are just getting, oh yeah, okay, that happened, I draw a card. Okay, that happened, I draw a card. Oh, that happened, I draw a card. Oh, that happened, I draw a card. Yeah. It's overpowered. Yeah, you're getting absurd value out of it. So again, you have the combo angle with this one. You have the absurd value throughout the game with this one. And for some reason, I don't know why this has Double Strike. I don't know why. I'm sure there's like a lore reason it has Double Strike, but I don't care. It doesn't need Double Strike, so I guess you could literally win with this too, just through combat if you really wanted to do that too, but you probably don't need to. This is push. This is OP. This is absurd value, absurd combo potential. You are overpowered, Marneus Calgar. Moving on. Goodness gracious, dragons. Miriam, whatever the name is. Sentinel Worm. I never know how to say that one. 6/6 dragon spirit with flying and ward 2. We'll get into ward 2 in a second. 4/6 mana, teamer. Whenever another dragon, non-token dragon, I should say, enters battlefield under control, create token's copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if the dragon is legendary. Goodness. Okay, first up, let's just really quickly talk about the ward 2. Wizards, when they invented ward, they're like, we've solved it. Players don't like hexproof. We fixed it with ward. And now since we fixed it, let's throw it on everything. This does not need protection. In fact, this shouldn't have protection. This is a really pushed OP effect, and it does not deserve protection because players deserve to be able to try to take it out. Now, yes, you can say, okay, yeah, sure, just hold up extra mana for it, but absolutely do it, and then get countered and be like, oh, okay, haha, you tried to take it out with Swords of Plowshares that you paid 3 mana for? I paid my 2 mana counterspell and stopped you from doing that. It's a taxing effect on top of just misery for your opponents. Yeah, but outside of just having ward 2, like a 6/6 flyer for 6 mana, that's nice. I mean, not going to be game ending. It is going to be game ending, though, that you get twice as many dragons, and you are making copies of ones that you shouldn't be able to make copies of. Again, legendary dragons, and there's a lot of them in these colors, obviously. You have red. There's a lot of really push dragons already in these colors, and all of a sudden you're going to say, oh, I get 2 Terror of the Peaks? Haha, great, good for me. Oh, I get 2 Niv-Mizzet Barons? Good for me. My goodness, the crazy things that you can do this. And again, you're making a second copy of those, but you're also making a token copy that is not legendary, and you're in populate colors as well. You have access to green and red, both of which have a decent amount of populate effects. So when you're doing that, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, okay, I populate again. You also have clone effects too. I populate again, I clone it, whatever. I've got 10 Mizzet Perrins in play. Good luck doing anything ever. If you cast into sorcery, that's 10 damage. I can spread out however I want. I can draw 10 cards. Good for me. Yeah, this is a crazy, powerful, pushed commander. Yes, it is a limited in that it's like, okay, just dragons. But still, there's so many powerful dragons. There's so many pushed dragons. This is a crazy good commander. In Wizards, it did not need Ward 2. Stop throwing Ward 2 on everything. Please stop it. Regardless, this is overpowered. This is pushed. Myra, Miriam, whatever your name is, you're overpowered. Next up, another example of a commander that basically has the combo printed on the card. Najeela the Blade Blossom. A 3/2 human warrior for 3 mana in red, but not really. It's in Wooburg. Whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature untapped and attacking. Pay Wooburg, untap all attacking creatures to gain trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. After this combat phase, neutral combat phase, activate during combat. The fact that that wasn't limited to, like, activate once each turn or whatnot, which typically, again, as a Johnny player, I do not enjoy. This one probably needed something along those lines because this is far too easy to use and abuse. There are a multitude of ways, just as an example, like Druid's Repository, that you can meet that Wooburg requirement to activate it again, and again, and again, and again, all while making more and more warriors. Sure, you can go, like, warrior tribal with this if you really want to. Good for you. That being said, yeah, you can combo so easily with this. And again, you're in Wooburg, so you have access to every single kind of tutor or card that you could possibly need to actually combo with this. This is push. This is OP. This is crazy. Najeela the Blade Blossom, definitely overpowered. Now, on the other end of things, well, outside of, a 5-color commander, the exact opposite of that, I guess, is colorless. But let's go with the 1-color commander, all right? I didn't include too many of them on this list because, to be honest, yes, it is a disadvantage to be playing 1 color. That being said, like Son of Yawgmoth, yeah, it's still OP even though it's only 1 color. Orvar the Allform, also overpowered even though it's only 1 color. A 3/3 shapeshifter with changeling for 4 mana. So Mistform Ultimus. It's exactly what Mistform Ultimus was, basically, right? But now we have all these other things on it. Okay, here we go. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token's copy of one of those permanents. There's also more text that really doesn't matter all that much. Whenever a spell or ability opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token's copy of target permanent. That doesn't matter really because this is his commander. It's not really going to be in your hand. I mean, yes, unless you like bounce it back to your hand and then like, haha, you made me discard. Cool. No, this is crazy. Essentially, hey, you cast any instant or sorcery that targets any permanent you control, you create a copy of it. Broken. So yes, basically every single one of your instant sorceries becomes a clone spell, essentially, and most of those are gonna be like 1 mana, target something. It doesn't even matter if it does absolutely nothing else. It literally could do absolutely nothing. It does not matter. It's a 1 mana clone spell for any of your permanents. My goodness, that is pushed. That is OP. That is insane. That is broken. There are so many ways to go infinite with this. It's absolutely crazy. Again, you have like one other good card in play with an ETB on it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, like, just an example, like, let's say like at a low level, like Mold Drifter. Even just a Mold Drifter in play, okay? Draw 2 on ETB. You cast any other 1 mana spell now, you draw 2 on ETB. That's just like a very low level of what you can do. At a high level, you can be like, oh, okay, yeah, I made like my 18th Cloud Post, and now they all tap for an absurd amount. Oh, cool. Yeah, and also just at a low level too. Just again, making infinite mana is just the simplest thing with this commander. Just being able to make infinite amounts of anything is the simplest thing with this commander. This commander is pushed. This commander is Mistform Ultimus plus the world, essentially. Orvar, the Allform, you might be 1 color, but you are overpowered. Moving on, Rowan, Scion of War. Just at 2 color, but still very pushed, very broken. 4/2 human wizard with menace for 3 mana. Thank goodness this doesn't have haste. If they put haste on this, oh my, look out. Anyways, for 3 mana in Rakdos, tap spells you cast this turn that are black and or red, cost X less to cast for X the amount of life you lost this turn, activate on sorcery. This is the exact opposite of Will, essentially, right? Which is it's still very pushed, still very broken, but not as broken as this one, because Will is like whenever you gain life. Here's the thing. You can lose as much life as you want, essentially. There are so many cards out there that are like, hey, pay whatever amount of life you want, or like, pay 1 life as many times as you want, essentially. And because of that, you can just choose whatever life total you're getting down to. You can choose how much life you lost. you can just say, okay, I tap and all of a sudden my spells cost 20 less. And you're in Commander, and 20 life in another format's like, oh, I can't pay 20 life because I only have 20 life. In this format, it's like, oh, that's only half my life. Yeah, I'm at 40 down 20. Okay, cool, good for me. Yay! Yeah, you essentially just say, okay, I tap my Commander. All my spells have X equals 20, essentially, right? Just giant ritual effect, basically. And all of a sudden, I am exsanguinating my opponents for that amount. This commander can essentially just be, hey, do you have more life than your opponents? You win! Because you cast that one giant drain spell. Or you cast like your Tormented Hellfire. You don't even need more life for that one. You cast your giant, damage everyone spell. You cast your giant, all the things. Oh, and by the way, you also have ways to untap this. You might not think you do, but you've got threaten effects, which you've got a lot of them. And as long as you've got the threaten effects that are the more old school wording of them, and there is a lot of them out there which can target any creature, not just your own, or not just your opponents, I should say. Because Wizards has gotten a little less fun these days. We're like, no, you can only threaten an opponent's creature. Yeah, no, being able to threaten your own creature means that you can untap it. I should say what threaten is. There we go. Usually threaten effects are 2 and a red. Gain control of target creature of turn, untap it, gain haste of turn. So yeah, you basically just untap your commander now for a single red mana, because again, the generic cost is going to be 0 on this, essentially. So you can tap it again. So all your spells, again, if you lost 20 life, let's just say at a base level you lost 20 life, all of a sudden now you lost still 20 life, but now your spells cost 40 less. You do it again, that costs 60 less. You have so many ways to win. And again, you're in black, so you've got so many ways to tutor for the things that you need to win. This is absurd. This is crazy. This is so easy to win super early. And of course, you're in red. You can get this haste very easily, too, to win just right away. This is a push. This is an overpowered commander. I'm sorry, Will, you didn't make the list. Spoiler right there. We are going alphabetical. Will did not make the list because losing life is so much easier than gaining life, even though that's still really easy with Will, too. But this is push. This is crazy. Rowan is definitely overpowered. Next up, one that I will forever say is way too easy. Shalai and Halar. Way too easy. This is so pushed, so overpowered, it's not even funny. 3/3 Angel Elf with Flying Vigilance for 4 mana in Naya. Back in the day, that would have been all you got. A 4 mana 3/3 with Flying Vigilance. These days, you get whenever one or more counters, and I'm going to shorthand +1 counters, okay? Just counters. Whenever one or more counters are put on a creature control, Shalai and Halar deals that much damage to target opponent. Okay. So, even if you're not comboing with this, which there are a multitude of ways to just get one other thing in play, like I think War Elemental, essentially, All Will Be One, all those kind of cards. You get one of those in play, you just win. Again, this is a commander that has a lot of two-card combos and many ways to tutor for them. Again, any kind of the creature combos, you have green to tutor for those. Any kind of the enchantment ones, you got white to tutor for those. Even if you're not comboing with this, it's super broken, super easy to just win with this. All of a sudden, you just get creatures in play, all right? And you're in colors that get a lot of creatures in play, a lot of creature tokens in play if you need to do that. And then you can just spend like 1 mana, 2 mana, whatever it is, to just get a lot of counters on them or have repeatable effects to just get counters on every single one of your creatures. And all of a sudden, you're dishing out 10 damage at a time to your opponent's faces. And of course, you've got damage doublers that you can utilize. You can utilize token doublers just to make your creatures bigger. That won't get you any more damage out of this too. But still, you give this lifelink, all of a sudden you have absurd life, and then your opponents can't even touch you. Give this infect, you just win. There are so many ways to win with this. And of course, again, at a base level, you just have just like 10, not even 10, it's not 10, but absurd amount of cards that just are 1-card combos with this. They're just, you win cards. You play that, you play this, you win. You do absolutely anything. You just win. Absolutely crazy, absolutely absurd. Shalai and Halar is too easy, and it is overpowered. Speaking of which, Tergrid, God of Salt. And yes, I will call it that forever. 4/5 God with Menace that costs 5 mana in mono black. Again, I am hesitant to put monocolor cards on this list because it is a disadvantage compared to a 5-color commander, which has access to everything. This is access to so much less than a 5-color commander. That being said, yeah, this is too easy. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard on the battlefield under your control. This is it that betrays in the command zone for so much less mana. So much less mana. so much less. This is way too easy. You play a single edict effect, again, like Innocent Blood, a 1-mana edict effect, and you just gain control of 3 things. My goodness. Could be your opponent's like best creatures in play, and they have to sacrifice them, and all of a sudden they're yours. You have some mass sacrifice effects, everything is all yours. You have some mass discard effects, everything is yours. You have some repeatable discard effects, everything is yours. All you need to do is just play 1 card with this, and you change the entire game into your favor. Oh, and by the way, there's a backside to this card because it needed that. Turgid's Lantern. Legendary artifact for 4 mana, 3 and a black. Tap target player, lose 3 life, and they sacrifice a non-land permanent, discard a card. Basically, Torrent Hailfire, but as 1. Oh, but here's the thing. This also has pay 3 and a black, untap it. So here's the thing. If you also just generate infinite mana, which there are a multitude of ways to do in mono black, you win. You just win. Because all you need to do is just play the backside and you can infinitely activate this and you just win the game too. So again, as if the front side wasn't enough, you've got an outlet just to win the game on the back for some reason. Yeah, this is push. This is OP. Again, I'm hesitant to put monocolored commanders on a list like this because they're being compared to 5-color commanders that are still way pushed. That can do so many things too. But this one's just absurd. It is too easy. It is overpowered. Turgid, God of Salt, you definitely deserve to be on this list. Moving on, yeah, one of the commanders that really kick things off when it comes to the overpowered Age of Commander, Urza Lord High Artificer. Oh my goodness. Yet another monocolor commander that definitely deserves to be on this list. A 1/4 Human Artificer for 4 mana in blue. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1 for each artifact you control. Tap and untap artifact you control, add blue. If it just had that text on it, this would still be overpowered. 5, shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until the end of turn, you may play that card that paints mana cost. Okay. So this is a commander that turns every single one of your artifacts, including non-token artifacts, into mana rocks. Every single one of your artifacts is, oh my goodness, a Sapphire Mox. Sapphire Mox? Whatever the blue Mox is, it's banned, whatever it is. Every single one of your, it's not Sapphire, is it? Rick, it's going to bug me now. Regardless, every single one of your mana rocks artifacts is a mana rock that can just tap for a blue right away. Even like your creature tokens can tap right away because, again, this actually has the ability. It does not give the creatures the ability. So essentially, yeah, you can tap them right away. That construct that you make can tap right away. And by the way, that construct can just be a heavy hitter. Oh, and by the way, you've got a way to just dump mana into this for your win condition that just casts things for free off the top of your deck. So if you just happen to hit, let's say, like an extra turn spell. Oh, looky me. I hit an extra turn spell. Well, let's do another turn where I have an absurd amount of mana. Oh, I can dramatic reversal and tap all my things. Tap them all again. Do it again. Yeah, this commander is pushed. This commander is broken. This commander is absolutely absurd. Do Cheerios. Do whatever you want to do. Just toss a bunch of... You can just grab, again, this kind of commander, you can just grab a bunch of low-cost artifacts, chuck them into a deck, and this deck will function very, very well. Urza Lord High Artificer, you are broken. You are busted. And you kind of, in my mind, just like started the age of the overpowered commander. Next up, Vadc, Astral Archmage. Here we go. A 1/2 human wizard for 3 mana, and is it? If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Vadc enters the battlefield. That really doesn't matter all that much, but I guess, you know, it can help out because with that last part, let's just skip the middle part real quick. Whenever day becomes, when it becomes day or night, whenever day becomes night or night becomes day. Sorry, I misspoke that. Here we go. Put a counter on Vadc. So if it was just that, this would be terrible, obviously, right? So yeah, you can grow Vadc throughout the game. What's the point? Oh, instant sorcery spells you cast cost X less gas for X is Vadric's power. Excuse me, what? If this said, instead, like, number of counters on Vadc, much more limited, okay? You're not in green, you're not in white. There's only so many ways to get counters on this. Yes, other ways to get it. Yep, and you got proliferate effects too. If that was the case, this would be so much more limited. Because it's not the case, the potential of this is just absurd. The potential is the ceiling. The potential is the sky. The potential is the moon! Space. Everything. Essentially, with this commander, yeah, you can very easily pump its power. Absolutely no problem at all. You don't have to, like, wait around and be like, okay, I hope night becomes day. Hope day becomes night. Does not matter. No. You've got ways to double this commander's power, double it again, and again, and again, and again. Because you've got cards that can actually just say, you know what? Oh, wait, I've got, like, you know, a Blackblade Forge on this. Okay, it's got +5/+5, whatever it is. That's 6 mana. Okay, cool. I've got this one spell. It's like X into red. You know, target creature gets plus X plus 0 until end of turn. Cool. Now that costs whatever I want to put into it, plus just its own power. So basically just doubling for just a single mana, or I can add extra mana into that if I want to just reduce the cost of my spells again to basically nothing. Again, we already talked about commanders that can reduce the cost of spells and how brokenly powerful they are. Yeah, this one can as well go absurd. And again, you got ways to just draw even more spells. You've got ways to untap things. Again, you've got ways to say, okay, yeah, I just cast this draw spell for 1 mana. That's like an extra draw spell. I just draw into my deck as many as, basically based off this power. I can just draw 20 cards very simply for 1 mana. Oh, okay, cool. I drew in a Dramatic Reversal. Untap all my things for 1 mana. Tap for more mana. Just cast this other spell that gives me an absurd amount of value. Double this power again. Make opponents take X damage. They're all gone. Yeah, you can just do some crazy things. We talked about Rowan earlier. Yeah, this also can reduce your spells in absolutely no time to essentially nothing. And you can do some absolutely crazy things. And of course, you are in blue too. You can just be like, oh, okay, cool. I cast Time Stretch for 2 mana. I get extra turns. Ha, I win. Yeah, you're going to win with this commander. You're going to do some crazy things with it. Vadc, Archmage, you are overpowered. Next up, Yorak the Desecrated. You know what commander players love? Many of them do. Enter the battlefield effects. You know what's great? Like a Panharmonicon with that. You know what's great? A Panharmonicon in the command zone. That applies to everything. Panharmonicon is limited to artifacts and creatures, I believe, but this is not limited. 3/5 with Death Touch and Lifelink for 5 mana in Sultai. Probably the best 3-color combination out there. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers additional time. This is Panharmonicon Plus from the command zone. Again, any permanents. That includes lands, which you might not think's that big of a deal, but my goodness, is it. Essentially, you've got things like, even at just like a very base level, like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got, you know, one of those creatures that enters the battlefield, gets me a land. Oh, no, I get 2 instead. Or I got one of those creatures that enters the battlefield, makes me sacrifice a land, I go get 2 lands, like a hero type effect, essentially. Oh, and now those landfall triggers are twice as effective, which also makes that twice as effective. It just stacks upon each other again, and again. The amount of value they can get out of your things is absurd. You also are in blue, which has blinking effects to use and abuse these. You also are in black, which has feigned death effects, which can like get creatures back out of graveyards when they're about to die, essentially. That you can use and abuse ETB so easily with this. It's absolutely absurd. You're also in black, so you can go get tutors to go get a Panharmonicon to even get more value. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Absolutely crazy. Panharmonicon Plus in the command zone. Yorak, you are OP. Next up, though, Yuro the Tiger's Shadow. You know what's really powerful? Well, a commander that doesn't cost very much. You know what's even more powerful? A commander that costs even less when you're actually just getting out into play. Every single time, because its cost might be 3, but you're never going to pay that. Even if this gets dealt with, you're never going to pay that. You get around commander tax, and not paying your taxes, well, is illegal. But also, it is something that is broken in Commander. A 1/3 human ninja for 3 mana, but you're never going to pay that, essentially. Commander ninjutsu, which is definitely a thing that they made up for Dimir colors. Pay that, return an unblocked attack you control to your hand, put this card on the battlefield from your hand or the command zone. That's the key right there, tapped and attacking. So, yeah, you're never paying commander tax with this. You get your commander out every single time for 2. There are so many low-to-the-ground creatures out there that can very easily get through on your opponents. You're going to be getting through with this, and when you do, well, whenever a ninja you control deals counter to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card in your hand. Each opponent loses life, you let cards, mana, converted mana cost. Yeah, this will make your opponent's life totals go from 40 to nothing in no time. All you need to do are maybe have a couple of ninjas in the deck, or like a changeling or 2, or whatever it is. Even if it's just the only one that's getting through, sure, you're still draining your opponents at an absurd rate. You're also getting card advantage off the top of your library. And again, if this is ever dealt with, it does not matter. It does not matter. Next turn, you're like, okay, I guess I paid 2 mana to get it back into play. Hit you again. Your life totals are gone. This can just make your life total go from, again, full to absolutely nothing in no time. It gives card advantage. It gives draining. It gives so much value. It cheats commander tax. Yuro the Tiger's Shadow, you are overpowered. Finally, though, and I did kind of mention this earlier, a little addition to the 20 that I put together. Yeah, a brand new one. Stella Wildcard. Oh my goodness. Wizards, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? What were you thinking? For a pre-con commander, too. I mean, yeah, it's probably not like broken in the pre-con deck, but it doesn't take many adjustments at all to make this broken. You can just like take out one card, put one other one in there, and you're like, Ah, I made it broken. A 2/4 Human Rogue for 3 mana, and is it? Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile a top card of your library. Till the end of your next turn, you may play that card. If you just had that, that would still be, like, pretty good, right? It's kind of like Jorian. But hey, tap, copy target, instant rush spell you control. You may choose targets for the copy. Activate only if you've cast 3 more spells this turn. Doesn't say, like, activate only once each turn. Doesn't really have a cost to it except for just tapping it. Yeah, that's very easily usable and abusable. You have so many ways to untap even just this or many, many things. Cerulean Wisps is a way to just do it for 1 mana, and you draw a card too. Or, hey, Dramatic Reversal, untap all your things. So all you need to do is basically cast 2 cantrips, and then Dramatic Reversal, and you win! And you win! That's basically it. There are so many ways to this you can actually do. It's just, again, Cerulean Wisp. You can do, okay, cantrip, opt, consider, whatever they are, opt, expedite, whatever it is. Again, like, expedite, give this haste. There's so many ways to give this haste, too. Do it right away. Oh, yeah, cast those 2 things. Okay, cool. I'll cast my 3rd spell, which just happens to be Cerulean Wisps. I untap this as many times as I want, essentially. Just keep tapping it, copying that spell again and again and again and again. And then all of a sudden, I draw my deck. And I got plenty of ways to win from there. Or again, Dramatic Reversal. Oh, I've got some mana rocks in play. Cool. Okay, I Dramatic Reversal infinitely, infinite mana. And then, yeah, I draw my deck and I win. This is so pushed. This is so overpowered. I cannot believe this is 3 mana. I cannot believe they also just, like, give you extra value for some reason. Again, when you're casting your 2nd spell, it doesn't need that to be overpowered at all to get, like, that extra impulse draw. Definitely does not need that. But that can just lead to just game-winning turns anyways. You're like, oh, I hope I hit something at the top. Oh, look, I hit Dramatic Reversal. Cool. I win. Absolutely crazy card. Stella, wild card. You are definitely a wild card, and you are definitely wildly overpowered. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on these commanders. Are there some on the list that you do not believe are overpowered? Are there certain ones you're like, no, that's not really as overpowered as some of the other ones that you talked about? Or are there ones that I didn't bring up over the past couple of years that are overpowered, that are pushed? So let me know in the comments below. If you are interested in any of these cards, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below if you want to decimate your opponents with these overpowered commanders. That's a good place to start. Regardless, comment below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.